We are back today with a training talk on hill sprints, the sub 2-minute workout that will transform your running. So if you are interested in running, if you are interested in training, if you are interested in running gear like shoes, you are in the right place. But an even better place would be the Supwell app. So Supwell app is my app. It's the best buy, sell, and trade marketplace out there, and it's the best place to connect with other hobby joggers and take your training to the next level. So here's how it works. We have a shoe marketplace where somebody might get a shoe like the Vomero Plus or the Fast R3 or the Deviate Nitro Elite 3. They'll put a run on it. It doesn't work for them, so they'll list it well below MSRP and pass along a deal to another hobby jogger. We also have the training forums where you can ask and answer any questions related to shoes, training, fuel, how to progress if you're feeling stuck, what other people have done in the past, and somebody who's been in your situation or other people with wealth of experiences will share their perspective. So if you're interested in taking your training to a beast mode level, or you want to save a few bucks on running gear, get in with us and enjoy today's video. All right, baby, we're gonna jump straight into it today. Mileage activities have already commenced, and we're doing hill sprints. Hill sprints, 2-minute workout that will transform your running. Now, it actually takes slightly longer than 2 minutes to complete, but 10 by 10 seconds, well within the 2-minute range. So the whole goal with hill sprints is to build strength, power, and quickness. And this is the one workout that has the easiest and quickest potential to help people improve, especially if you're already doing moderate mileage and solid frequency, but that most people aren't doing. Not very many runners do hill sprints, me included, as a normal part of their training. And what these hill sprints are, it's like doing a heavy set of squats, except it's run specific. It's the best form of running specific strength training. You unlock more power in your stride. You make climbing hills easier and feel more relaxed. And you build greater efficiency. So how to do hill sprints. You're gonna wanna get a nice warm up in like I'm doing right now. 20 to 30 minute warm up is what I do. For you, it could be 10 to 15 minutes to get that heart rate up, nice relaxed jogging. And this is how I start every run. 1 to 2 miles of relaxed jogging. My first mile is almost always slower than my second mile. And then you're gonna wanna find a hill. So I've just done it by feel. I've identified one of the steeper hills around me. And I just got this Coros pod yesterday. So I've been digging into more of the metrics. And I was looking at the grade, the percent grade of this hill when I was climbing it yesterday. And it was an 8% grade. So that should give you an idea if you have a watch that tracks that type of stuff. But a challenging hill climb, high single-digit percentage grade, because you want it to be steep enough to have that resistance, but not so steep that you can't turn over the legs. You don't want something that's almost vertical, because then you won't be able to get that cadence up. So low enough where you can really pop that cadence, get the legs driving off the ground, but steep enough where there is some resistance challenge. 7 to 8% grade, likely the sweet spot. And don't stress out if you can't find the exact perfect hill. There's no perfect hill. And if you're not doing these already, any hill is better than no hill. So even doing these on the flat, if you have to, if that's all you have, doing sprints on the flat is okay. But the hill is the best because you get more resistance with lower impact forces. That's the key. So this is also great for injury prevention, strengthening the running specific muscles. So I'm gonna start doing some strides here as part of my warm-up. So strides are 10 to 20 second bursts of speed, not a sprint. It's your fastest race pace. So a 5K pace or a mile race pace with the focus on nice mechanics, getting the legs floating, popping off the ground quickly, light touch. I do this before any workout. So some nice jogging, 20 to 30 minutes, and then some strides. So for you, 10 to 20 minutes, and I do about 6 of these, trying to get faster and drive more power with each stride. And I'm actually on a hill now for my first one. Strides in the books, doing a few minutes of steady running. I just added in 2 by 1 minute at marathon pace on the flat. But this is my favorite part of the warm-up coming up. Nice 2 minutes hard uphill. This is the final piece to just get the body lubricated and ready to go. And thankfully, I have a giant hill before my hill sprint area, so it's perfect. And this is the thing, you got to just work with your environment. So if you got a giant hill, a little hill, use your environment for the warm-up, use your environment for what you have. I know people who do hill sprints in parking garages because that's all they have early in the morning in Florida. So you got to work with what you have around you. All right, 2 minutes hard uphill. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, warm up is in the books. Now I like doing a longer warm up here. You don't need to do this, but the key thing with the hill sprints, because I'm 7 miles in here, the key thing with the hill sprints is just do not come into them cold. So the harder running, doesn't need to be exactly what I've done, but harder running, some strides where you are getting down to, or getting up to 90%, 95%. That's what you're gonna want before starting these. And first few reps, build into it. You only need to be touching max power for about 5 to 6 seconds here, so build into it. You really just want to be warmed up. You can do a lot more harm than good if you come into this cold, so make sure you get a nice long warm up and then hit them and roll into it. So I'm gonna start right here. This is my spot. So this is the other thing with finding a good spot. If you could get some landmarks here so you can mark it off the same way each time, that's perfect. So I go from this black post all the way up to that first mailbox, and it takes me 10 to 11 seconds. So you're gonna wanna start off with 8 to 10 second reps. So I'm gonna bang 10 of them from this black up to that mailbox. Let's get them rolling. all done, man. Short and sweet. That's another reason why these are fun, because if you're a marathoner or a half marathoner, even 5Ks and 10Ks, you're used to going out, grinding out mile repeats or tempo runs, or even just base building everyday runs, 20 to 40 minutes. Dude, these are so short, 10-second reps. And for the last few weeks, this has been my most fun, most enjoyable run of the week. Get to come out here with a good pair of shoes on, bop up the hill, give it some gas. I mean, this is running. Who doesn't love attacking with all our power? And I gotta say, that wasn't even my best set of these recently. I'm coming off a half marathon on Saturday, so not 100% yet, but just coming out here, completing it. That's all we need sometimes, man. Consistency beats perfection. Completion and beats perfection. So, well, nothing beats confection. Confection will be sugar. Sugar sounds nice right now for some post-run recovery. But yeah, cool down here. So after you finish them, I hit a nice mile, 2 mile cool down, 5 to 15 minutes, whatever works for you. And if I'm really hunting mileage, I could even do 3 to 4 extra miles after a workout. But today, I'm just gonna jog it out to 10 or 11. We can call it a day. What a beautiful day, man. And the benefit of doing these as our strength training is, look at this. This is our gym. This is our gym. This is the nicest gym that I've ever seen. That's the golf course over there. What a beautiful day. What an absolutely perfect day. Trying to appeal to a general audience today, so I'm not gonna say who they're picking up. I've got an audience today, an audience other than you, because Reevesy is right there watching me. It's a different vibe for sure. But I want to close it out today talking about the three benefits, the three main benefits of hill sprints. And once you start doing any new sort of workout, you'll find different benefits that you didn't even expect, whether it's just more pop in your legs or even just a different enjoyment out of running. Variation is one of the best things we can do for running. We know it commonly when we talk about the running shoe rotations, right? Varying between soft and firm foams, varying between a 6mm drop. The shoe that I have on today is a lower drop versus a higher drop, like a Nike Vomero Plus or a Puma Velocity Nitro 4. But variation with the pace, variation with the run length is also one of the best things we can do to prevent training monotony. Hold on. I think so. There's lots of activity going around here. We have garbage trucks coming through, children going to the library, but training monotony is a semi-scientific term that describes the level of sameness, of your training. So think about somebody who runs 3 days a week for 30 minutes for fitness. They're likely not progressing all that much in their running. You might crank the treadmill to the same exact spot every time. It might be 7:45 pace. I'm gonna hit my 30 minutes of cardio. That is training monotony. That's a high level of training monotony versus Olympic athletes like a Clayton Young or a Connor Mance. There's a high level of variation between the types of runs they do. Short recovery runs, long steady runs, medium length runs, you have 4:30 paces, you have 8-minute paces for recovery, and then you have 3:30 paces. So varying up the training is not only good for the body, and keeping that training monotony low is not only good for the body and to prevent against stagnation, staleness, and even injury prevention, but it's also good for the mind to mix it up and do something different. But the three main benefits of hill sprints beyond that, when we're thinking about a pure fitness building perspective and longevity perspective from running, are these three. I came up with an acronym for it when I was out there. The acronym is SIRE, S-I-R-E. You know what SIRE means? It's a male who fathers children. That has nothing to do with hill sprints, but it was a cute acronym that I came up with to remember. It's a mnemonic device. So S, strength, I-R. No. Oh, S, strength, I, injury prevention, R-E, running economy. So number one, strength. The entire point of the hill sprints and the primary purpose of them is to build strength and power in the stride. And so many of us out here are coming out, doing our 30-minute run, our 45-minute run, having a good time with it, enjoying running, but we're not focusing on the higher end speeds. This is a trap that I myself found myself in and can settle into sometimes, just doing the longer runs. And I'm not saying just doing as if they're easy, right? And we think of the longer runs as the hardest runs on the schedule, and for a lot of the time they are, right? Going out 20, gotta make sure my cords are plugged in, man, lights, camera, action. But going out for a 23-mile long run or a 20-mile long run or a 2-hour long run, or for you, if it's an hour or 45-minute long run, that's gosh dang hard. We have our gels, we have our water bottle, we have our whole kit. We're worried about chafing. We got the nut butter, whatever you people do to get yourself ready. You strap on the heart rate monitor. Some people have the backpack. That's the long run, man. We got to get ourselves mentally prepared. We have the fueling all dialed in before we do the toaster waffles or the bagels or whatever. The long run. And then we have our workouts, our tempo runs, our track days. That's what we get so excited about. And so often we can neglect the strength. And man, I hate going to the gym now. I do not like going to the gym. And it's funny because I used to be a muscle, what do you call it? A muscle head? A meathead? I used to love throwing around weights in the gym, but now I'm at a different phase of my life. I'm addicted to mileage. I'm addicted to running. And it's funny because we're doing the Supwell DQ Community Challenge right now. Well, it's not funny, but there's a lot of people in there who are saying, man, I was a former addict. I was addicted to illicit substances, and now I'm addicted to the mileage. It's funny how this mileage thing works, man. It really does get you hooked, and it's a great replacement for any sort of negative vices in your life. But I love running. I love coming out here. This is the best gym, right? And so doing hill sprints, especially if you are not particularly injury prone already, or if you don't have a specific issue to work on, can be either a supplement or a replacement for the gym. Now, I'm not here to say you don't need to go to the gym at all, and if you're rehabbing a hip, stop doing that. But if you're not doing any sort of specific strength training, which is a lot of us as runners, even me included, doing the hill sprints can be a good entry into that. It is the most running specific form of strength. And if we look at these splits today, and by the way, I'm still a little bit disappointed with the Coros here for the pace tracking. This is the one thing that I've found not great so far, and it's been Apple, Garmin, and Coros. With the faster paces, it really struggled, and I had some reps out there where it was telling me I was going at a 5:24 pace up the hill, and I'll see what Strava says afterwards. Strava usually has it correct, but it feels like there's a lag on it. And I was seeing when I was hitting the hill hard, I was looking down at my watch and it had my pace correct. It would say you're going at a 4:20 pace or a 4:30 pace, but then when I clicked off the lap, it would tell me my average pace for the rep was something like a 5 flat, when I'm pretty sure it was lower. So I'll check the Strava afterwards. But regardless, going out at a 4:30 pace or a 4:20 pace with the resistance of the hill builds a lot of strength in the legs. It will give you some more pop in your stride. And I've got to tell you, man, this last half marathon I did on Saturday, Charlotte, 700 feet of elevation gain, right? I think it was 696 or something, 686. And I averaged a 5:29 pace over those hills, a 5:29 pace for 13 miles. That was the fastest I've ever gone for a half marathon. That was a PR. And leading up into that, I was doing hill sprints. I think I've done 3 sets of hill sprints now. This is my 4th hill sprint workout of the cycle, of the last 4 to 6 weeks, right? And so being able to climb those hills with more confidence, naturally feeling more comfortable, naturally feeling like it's slightly easier to go up the hills, that's what the hill sprints will unlock. More strength and power in the stride. SIRE, strength. Now, number two, injury prevention. The P is silent in SIRE, because otherwise that would be CYPER, but we're just gonna take the I from injury prevention. So for a lot of us, going to the gym and doing strength training is a great way to prevent injury. Now, whenever I talk about strength training, my relationship with strength training, why I don't go to the gym, there's a chorus of folks who are in their 40s and 50s who are rightfully saying that going to the gym does have a place in their running. So I'm not here to say don't go to the gym. Again, I'm not. But doing these types of workouts, hill sprints, can help prevent against injury. I didn't invent this. I didn't make this up, okay? I did not make this up. You can read this in the Hudson book. You can read this in the Daniels book. You can read this in the Fitzinger book. Hill sprints, hill surges, bounds, even Lydiard and Cerruti talk a lot about this. These are older school guys doing any harder hill running, and it doesn't have to be hill sprints. And this is the thing to know about any of these maximal power exercises, especially the faster we go closer to our maximal speed, there is a higher chance of injury. So it's one of those counterintuitive things where I thought that was a waist pro. It's one of those counterintuitive puzzles where doing these appropriately can minimize the chance of injury risk because we're strengthening those running specific muscles and tendons. But if we just jump off the couch cold, if you've never done a 5K before and you hear me talking about hill sprints and then you get off the couch and just try to start ripping up the hill, that is a high chance of injury. So again, we want to build into these. Start off maybe 85% of your maximum power. Start off maybe 90%. We don't want to just go from 0 to 100 real quick, because then that's the chance of getting injured. But injury prevention with these is getting stronger, easing into it, and preventing the muscles and tendons from the pounding, because running does put a lot of wear and tear on the joints, especially if you ramp up quickly. But doing this is a very specific form of strength training that guards against that. So in the Hudson system, this is actually Hudson is adaptive running system. This is his main form of strength training, doing these hill sprints. And again, this is not to say stop going to the gym. I'm not here to tell you that. But if you're not doing these, it could be another thing to do. And if you have had issues with running specific imbalances in the past, this is a really good way to fortify the body against those. I personally, oh boy. I personally have not had a running related injury that took me out for multiple days in 3 years, ever since my first marathon in 2022. Of course, I have things that pop up where I say, my calf feels kind of weird after this workout. I'm going to take a day off, or maybe I'll just cut the mileage low. Everybody has things that come up like that, but I haven't had to take 2-3 days off. I haven't had a serious running injury. I'm not talking about little nick. I haven't had anything that took me out in 3 years. However, I can feel sometimes when I'm pushing it, man, my lower back doesn't feel as strong as I'd like. It feels that I just don't have the strength. And I've really found that doing these types of workouts, man, the hill sprints and more of these maximal power workouts can be a great safeguard against that. And other body weight stuff like planks and push-ups can also be great. We do not need a lot of heavyweight stuff as runners. However, like I was saying out there, doing these hill sprints, that is a lot of power. I mean, I can see what my maximal power is, but I'm putting down some pretty serious force when I'm jumping up the hill like that. So it is pretty comparable to what doing heavy squats would be. And again, I have to say this one more time. I'm not here to say don't go into the gym if your coach or your PT has you going into the gym. But from my personal experience, this has been a really good replacement for that for my running, with the ton of elevation that I get throughout the week. So if you look at just the totality of my training, I get 4,000 to 5,000 feet of elevation gain per week. So that's another great running specific form of strength training, just the volume and the frequency. And I also get anywhere from 9 to I think my max this year was 18 hours of running per week when I was hitting 130, 140 mile weeks, but roughly probably 10 to 12 hours of running per week. And the very relaxed running helps prevent against injury by getting that volume up, and by injury preventing through the slower stuff, just strengthening. That's a very low injury risk. Think of walking, right? There's a very low injury risk. If you get your running volume up so that it borderline feels like walking at a jogging pace, you're going to be more injury resistant than someone who's running once a week, and where running feels like a huge task. So all the way on one side, the very relaxed running could be great. The hill running could be great, getting the total volume of elevation up. And then the hill sprints can be great. Strength, power, and really protecting the body against those impact forces. So working with it. And the reason that the hill is better than doing sprints on the flat, there's lower impact forces on the hill. You put more power by working against gravity, but lower impact force. Think about going downhill. That's the highest impact force you will have. So doing something like a downhill sprint, that's great if you're preparing for a race with a lot of downhills, like an ultra marathon on the mountains or Boston or ever any other sort of net downhill. I think CIM has a lot of downhills, is that right? But if you're doing any sort of trail or ultra, that's where bombing the downhills, triggering DOMs, right, getting those adaptations in the quads, like my guy Serge, the quad fighter, that's where that can be good. But for us, if you're looking for general injury prevention and getting faster as a runner, doing these uphill hill sprints 10 by 10 seconds can be great. And starting off with even 4 by 10 seconds, 6 by 10 seconds is all you need, gradually building up. If I were to do a 4-week progression of these, start off with 4 by 10 seconds at an 80% effort. Then you could do 5 by 10 seconds at an 80% effort, then 6 by 10 seconds, and then work up to 6 by 10 seconds at a 90% effort. Just feel it out. Gradual is better. Build slowly, cut quickly. That's one of the rules of the 10 mileage commandments, which brings me to point number 3 here, sire, running economy. So talking about getting faster, running economy is the third benefit of hill sprints. What is running economy? Running economy is a little bit of a finger waving metric. It's actually pioneered by Jack Daniels. It's a way to measure running skills and ability with something that cannot be purely measured by pace or heart rate. So if you take two athletes who are running the same exact race time, one of them will necessarily, if they have slightly different heart rates, slightly different running backgrounds, have a higher running economy than the other. Running economy describes the level of effort it takes to maintain a certain pace. So somebody with a better running economy will be running a 6:30 pace at maybe a 125 heart rate. Someone like Connor Mantz would have a much better running economy than me. So if Connor Mantz is at a 625 pace, his heart rate is probably 130. If I'm at a 625 pace, my heart rate is 155, 160, 165. I'm not as efficient. I'm less efficient at that 625 pace than somebody like Connor Mantz. So what these hill sprints will do, and what any workout is designed to do, is over the long term improve running economy. That's the whole point of training, getting more efficient at a race pace. And I talk about this with marathon all the time. If you are training for any sort of marathon, it's likely that you can run 1 mile, 2 miles, 5 miles, 10 miles, hopefully any of these, at that marathon pace, right? If you're training for a 3:30 marathon, I'm guessing you can run at least a half marathon at that pace right now, hopefully. Otherwise it might be a little too out of the reach for a 3 to 4 month goal. So running economy, improving that will get us more efficient at that 3:30 marathon pace so that we can run it for the full marathon. Our heart rate will be lower than it is. It won't feel like half marathon pace. It will feel like marathon pace. And this is what I was a great example of this. I was running with a dude, his name is Carter Coughlin. I was running with him in the Charlotte Marathon on Saturday. I was running the half marathon. And for some reason, I thought everyone around me was running a half marathon as well. I mean, we were going 5:20 pace, and that's a really hilly course. And a lot of the guys around me, they did have the orange bibs. But it turns out Carter, I found out after the race, was running the full marathon, which makes sense because I was looking at this dude. We were going up the hills, and it looked like he was dang near jogging. That describes the difference between somebody with Carter's running economy and mine. I was pushing up the hills, 170 heart rate. He was basically jogging up the hills, 150 BPM heart rate, a much lower effort, probably a 6 to 7 out of 10 effort versus me. I was closer to a 8 or 9 out of 10 effort. So Carter's running economy is better than mine because we were running the same exact pace. We were in a pack, but he was a lot more efficient because he was able to go 26.2 miles at that pace versus me. So by doing these hill sprints, we improve our running economy. If I think about even 4 months ago, would I have been able to run that half marathon pace up the hills without the hill sprints and without all the other workouts? Because there is no magic workout. There's no one workout that will fix everything. But with a solid training program, implementing hill sprints alongside all the other things, the frequency, the volume, the variations in pace and the long runs, that's what creates beast runners, right? Not just one magic workout, but by doing the hill sprints, it boosts the running economy. So, sire, those are the 3 reasons why every runner should implement hill sprints into their training. Strength, you're going to get a lot stronger. Injury prevention, bulletproofing the muscles and tendons, and doing it in a very running specific way. And then third, running economy, getting more efficient. And the whole theory with running economy with this is that doing these hill sprints, getting into this form, it will clean up our mechanics, and by adding more power into the stride, so say right now your average running power is 270 watts, theoretically doing these hill sprints over time will maybe increase the average power you have at a 130 BPM heart rate to a 285 average watts. I'm simplifying it here, but that is the whole theory with hill sprints. And again, it's not just one magic workout. We have to be consistent with these over time, and we have to do the other basics, which are 5 to 6 days of running per week, 1 long run, 90 minutes to 2 hours ideally, and 2 hours plus if we're in the marathon or training for a marathon, and then 1 hard run per week, getting the heart rate up. So there you go. Those are the benefits of hill sprints. The 2-minute workout that will transform your running. This is the whole thing with it, man. It only takes 100 seconds. It's 100 seconds of hard running. If you're doing 10 by 10 seconds, it'll give you a ton of benefits. So I hope you enjoyed this training talk today. Something different. Back in that bag, we have to switch it up. Talking about variation, we got to switch up the flow. Let me know what other training talks you want to hear soon. I appreciate you, and I'll be back tomorrow with another video. I'm in the streets rolling. You're on the internet trolling. Bust down corals on my wrist looking swollen.